All right, everyone, we are live from QuickBooks Connect in the beautiful city of Toronto in Canada, and I have incredible guests, all influencers around me, which I'm going to present. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Rodrigo Fernandez, and I'm Director of Marketing at Method Integration. Method is, of course, the makers of Method CRM, the number one CRM for QuickBooks, both desktop and online. And more than a CRM, Method is a no-code platform that serves small businesses and allows them to build personalized, fully customized applications, enterprise-grade applications to run their businesses and make them grow. So, if you want a trial of Method CRM because you've been inspired by our guests here, just go to www.method.me/QBC18 because we have a special offer for you that you don't want to miss. So, without further ado, let me introduce this powerful influencer lineup that we got for you today. So, right next to me, next to Tiffany. Actually, you know what? There we go. Let's start first with Tiffany. Tiffany Stewart, right here.
As opposed to here.
Is the owner of Tiffany J Stewart Cpa, a practice serving small, medium, and large businesses in North America, as well as personal tax clients. She is a co-founder and president of Maribirch Inc. and an administrator on the QBHQ, together with her awesome friend, Dawne. Tiffany is a member of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network and an advanced certified ProAdvisor for QuickBooks Online and Desktop. So welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Next to Tiffany is Dawne Leaney Davidson. Now, Dawne is the owner of Free Life Accounting and Bookkeeping, a boutique company specializing in small to medium-sized businesses. She is a co-founder and vice president of Maribirch Inc. and an administrator also with Tiffany over here on QBHQ, which is an awesome Facebook online community. Dawne is also a member of the Trainer Writer Network. Next to Tiffany, we also have Matthew Fulton. Matthew over there is co-founder and CTO of Parkway Business Solutions, where he uses his passion for technology to create time-saving tools for accountants and bookkeepings, as well as fit the needs of all the modern small business owners. Recently entering private beta, his current project, which I find quite interesting, is called Vendor Sync, and provides bookkeepers and accountants the most efficient bank import process for QuickBooks Desktop by eliminating, get this, over 50% of the data entry requirements. So welcome, Matthew. Next to Matthew is Lynda Artesani, and Lynda is president of Artesani Bookkeeping. She's an advanced certified QuickBooks ProAdvisor for desktop and online with diamond level status at Intuit. Lynda is also a member of the Intuit Advisory Council and an expert columnist at the QB Community Forum. Welcome, Lynda. Next to Lynda is Jacob. And where are my notes? Refresh. Hold on a minute. Only this happens on a live presentation. Jacob Schroeder, there we go. Woo! Jacob is the CEO and founder of Ascend Consulting. He works with small business owners to help them truly understand and assist them with scaling their business. Jacob is also a member of the 2017-2018 Intuit Accountants Council. And last but not least, we have a homegrown family member here, Andrew Wall. There he is, and Andrew is a QuickBooks Platinum Pro Advisor and the CEO of CPA 4IT, a modern cloud accounting firm for small businesses and independent contractors. He's the owner of Wall CPA, a cloud accounting firm that was named Canadian Firm of the Future by Intuit in 2015. Andrew has been named a top 50 cloud accountant at HubDoc, a top 100 accounting influencer by Avalara, and a top 10 Canadian bookkeeping influencer by K2E Canada, and one of our favorites here at Method CRM. Wow. Welcome, Andrew. All right, guys, so come and take a seat. Whoa. We got the net. We got the net. All right, so I asked this question on our last Fireside Chat in San Jose, okay? So listen to this. So Scott Brinker, who's one of the chief marketing technologists out there, he says that he believes there are two things that are true referring to rapid changes in technology. The first thing is that technology is accelerating super fast. Lots of changes constantly. The second one is that changes in an organization takes a really long time and they're very hard, right? Do you think the same applies in the accounting industry? If so, how so? And how can ProAdvisors and accountants and bookkeepers embrace the reality and sort of like stand in front of that train and take it?
Oh, I think it definitely holds true in this community, probably more so than any other community. Technology is changing rapidly. We just saw, demos today of QB Assistant and what's happening with voice, and that's just one little aspect. What's going on with fintech right now is outstanding. Yet our industry is historically one of the slowest adopters of technology. So how do you bridge that gap when there's so much new tech coming on? It's like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So you have to pick your projects and start, and depending upon the size of your organization, the speed will vary. Because if you're one man, it's very easy to adapt, or one woman, one person, it's really easy to just pick up new technology and roll with it. Once you have an organization, you have to deal with whole change management and making sure that you've got the entire team on board. So there's a much longer process in that. But no matter whether you're one person or a multinational organization, it's one bite at a time. Pick your piece of tech that you think is the most important priority and start with that.
Who'd like to go next? So how are you guys tackling that issue?
So I'm going to start by agreeing with Andrew. It's definitely a problem in our industry of accountants are reluctant to change, probably more so than most people, that most industries, because that's the way accountants are. We are wait and see type people of what comes. But I think it really comes down to how are you hiring is one of the big things. So if you hire people who take ownership of process and are constantly looking for improvement, then change management becomes much easier because those people are looking, how can I change and adapt so this process becomes more efficient? Where if you hire people that are just there for the job, they're not so much looking to improve the process, so therefore they are much more reluctant to change.
So from an app perspective, right? So Intuit, I know, is investing a lot of money on educating the industry, and I think that's working. And yet the road is actually quite long. What would be your suggestion to us developers? How can we better support the industry in helping you navigate through those waters and take you where you need to be? What would some of your suggestions?
I saw you go grab it. I was like, one thing I would say is I think sometimes you need to be patient with us. It's very overwhelming for us, the number of apps that are out there and all the new ones that are constantly coming out and the new features that those apps are then adding. And so to walk into this room and see all these booths and go, oh my God, I don't even know where to start. And to know that I may talk to you this year, I might not sign up till next year because it's going to take me that long to wrap my head around how to make it work.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for me, when I get an app, that I hear about an app or somebody tells me about an app, I usually grab it and put it in and do it on my own company to get to know it, because I can't be giving it to a client and then saying to the client, here, go ahead, let me know how that worked out, because it could be not a great app too, and then I don't look good. So that's kind of how I work it. I know you're dying to talk. Go for it.
So I think now that the app environment has grown to be so large, the concept of the MVP has to change for software development, especially in the environment when you're dealing with accountants and bookkeepers, which have a higher expectation of something to work correctly. It used to be that we would develop something and you get it to market as quick as possible because you need to find out if there's a market for it, because it costs a lot of money to develop, to market, to do everything else. So I would strongly suggest to as many of the app companies out there, get an accountant on your team, whether it's paid or not, that can truly understand the outputs, make sure they're correct, because if you do that correctly, we as accountants will accept flaws in UI UX, but we cannot accept flaws in the actual accounting output.
That gets a round of applause. Yeah.
So I'll touch on that real quick. Another big thing I think would be really important, as you talked about what you guys can do to help us, is if we could get a real sandbox environment and data to use in that sandbox environment to test how an app works. Because many times it's like, yeah, this is how you say it works, but I need to see how it flows through your software, what the outputs are, how that impacts the tax software, how it integrates with my other apps that I have that I'm using. And because most of the time I'm building a stack, not just individual ones. So that sandbox environment is really powerful, as well as test data sets, So, because I can pull things from clients, but many times I don't want to go ask my client for that raw data. I want a set of data that I can look at, understand what the raw data is, shove it through an app, and see what comes out. So I think that would be really powerful if we could get that.
And just to add on to that idea of the data set, which I think is critical. But if I love when I see in a software that ability where they actually put in the test data and it just like guides you, the guided tour, the step-by-step. This is what you need to do, step 1, step 2. You need to be able to turn that off in case you, but ignore, because, but having that when you don't know the product, when you're trying to eat an elephant one bite at a time, is really important to walk me through the steps, have dummy data there, so I don't have to think, you just guide me and I watch and take me on a journey. I think.
And videos. It's easy to do.
Yeah, videos are super easy.
And we have Bill Kennedy with us. All right. How you doing, Bill?
Excellent. How are you? Yeah.
As you can see, we have a full panel here. Bill, we're talking about the chasm that the industry is going through, and how we as developers can help you. But now I actually want to switch a little bit of gears here because, as I said at the beginning, I am surrounded by a whole bunch of influencers. I think together you guys must have over 1 billion impressions on social media alone. So it's 900. So as we're talking about social media, one of your feedbacks in terms of technology is, well, we want sample data to play with in a sandbox. But when you're trying to build a social profile, you don't get that sample data, right? Everything is sort of like 0, 0, 0, 0. So let's talk about social. What are some of the technologies that you're leveraging right now to help you build that audience or that following? Bill, you want to start?
Well, sure. And a lot of it is you're talking to you choose exactly who you're talking to, right? Like for me, it's nonprofits and charities. That's a very specialized area that needs a lot of help. And they're also very social. So once you get talking to one, you can get the conversation going, and you want to get it outside of the immediate tribe, right? I'm not talking to other accountants as much as I'm trying to convince charities to adopt financial technology. And if you like talk the truth in a way that is easily accessible, and you're patient and persistent. That's my 2 words, right? Just keep doing it, keep getting the message out there. It builds, but it takes time, no question.
And what is your platform of choice for communicating with your charities?
Okay, so it started with Blogger, and then it moved to WordPress, and then I realized nobody's coming to my website, so I moved to Facebook, because I tried LinkedIn, and I've got a big group there, but there's not a lot of conversation on LinkedIn. It's all people just pushing out their stuff, where Facebook there is a conversation. And then at events like this, Twitter is everybody's talking on Twitter, and that's how I find out who to follow, and often they follow me back.
Tiffany, Dawne, you guys have a huge following on QBHQ, and of course, Facebook is your main group, right? Aside from Facebook, how else are you leveraging technology to build your audience?
Technology? Well,
we're community builders. So for us, it's actually the in-person stuff. So there's not, it's like the old-fashioned human technology is what we're using for a lot of the community building stuff that we're doing. And then I guess the next platform that we really work with is Twitter, because it's then instantaneous and we can share the stuff that we're working together on as a community. Yeah. I was going to say the thing that we're really excited about right now is we've actually just launched our QBHQ for Smbs. We were getting a lot of requests to join the group from end users and from small business users that had heard this was a great place to go to ask their questions about QBO especially. But they're conversations that we have in QBHQ that we don't necessarily want our clients to be part of, because sometimes we're discussing things that we do with our clients, and so we don't always want them to see our secret sauce. And so we've started now QBHQ for SMB so that those small business and end users have a place to go where they can also get that access to QBO support through Intuit as well, because we have members there, but then also asking us questions and us being able to share experiences with them and them with each other as well.
Okay.
I don't know much about social media, but I'm actually going to pass it down to Jacob and Lynda. I'm happy to talk more, but I know that they've got to go for council, so I'll let them start. We'll work back this way.
So I think Bill hit the nail on the head, though, when you got to pick your audience, but then it's looking at innovative ways to attract a new audience, too. So to come up here, one of the things we did was a GoFundMe page. Did a video, and our community then supported us to come up here, which we're super thankful for. Thank you for everybody that contributed to our GoFundMe and helped us come up here. So Matthew, Lynda, and I are from the States. We met this community and wanted to in San Jose and wanted to be part of that global community even more. So we decided we wanted to come up, and they supported us. And that's a different way of reaching out to them, right? And it helps you stand out a little bit by using video, using GoFundMe, using different communication methods that then people take an interest in you, because it's not the same old stuff. It's not the same article being posted all the time. So it's just changing those things up and being personal about it, I think, is not just the robot posting things for your social feed. It's you actually getting in there and doing it yourself.
You know what? We, as accountants, we're kind of known as being boring. When we tell people we're going to an accountant convention, they go, great, happy for you. But we're fun. So people don't know how much fun accountants are. We're a lot of fun, and that's what makes it fun, right? That's what makes us get a lot of attention.
Sounds good to me.
Ambassador of fun.
I think what sometimes it's missed that the power of social media, we may be accountants and you may be thinking that your immediate target audience is supposed to be small business owners, but actually by connecting with other accountants like this, we have a better opportunity to reach those small business owners as well. When a big area of focus has always been search and engine optimization for myself, and social media plays a big role in that. You will always rank higher on like Google platforms if you have your social media tied in. So by collaborating, by having fun, you know what I mean? Like by actually being real and genuine and having fun with people that you can relate to, that's one of the best ways you can actually end up connecting to potential clients.
And the Canadians are a wild bunch, I have to say. The ones I know are really wild and fun.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Now the master.
As my sister would say, baiter. So no, I don't know if I have much to add on what you guys have all said. You've hit the nails on the head. And being authentic, obviously. Coming back to technology, I guess there is some technology I use, like Pexels, which is a great tool for getting good quality, free photos. There's tools like OneStream Live, which allows you to take a old video that you've pre-recorded and make it appear live, which then gives you higher impressions. I don't know whether this is good or bad. These are technologies that I experiment with, and that's one of the things that I do on my social media. I'm not saying it's right for everybody, is I'm constantly experimenting. I'm constantly trying new mics. I'm constantly trying new tech, and that's how we bond. Is like, what's the latest tech? What do you have? And like even with your own cameraman, I'm like, oh, what do you got there? Is that an XLR? And I totally geek out on this, and I love this. But that's me, right? Like that's my authenticity. So that's not don't go and copy me. Go and be you. Do your thing, and it will happen organically. And again, coming back to this whole know your community, because Bill's right, absolutely. If you can highly target, but I also think that sometimes your community grows itself. And I can tell you for myself the community that I have today is not the community that I had actually intended. But I love it. And that the community is people who are like me, who share similar values, who love technology, who are a little bit geeky, who are into finance and technology. And my community has become what I am because my social media is what I am. So your following will be who you are, at least who you are on social media. And the one thing that you do get about social media is the ability to show your best you, right? And that's also a scary thing when we talk about our children in social media. And I know I got to shut up and pass the mic. But I think it's an important thing because social media right now is an intimidating thing for small businesses, and it's an intimidating thing for our children. And there's a lot of pressure because you see people at their best. And you assume that you need to be at that level and you need to be, the best in your game, not realizing every one of us has our dark days, our dark moments, and our failures, as they said up on stage, and recognizing that very rarely are you seeing those negative moments on social because we're presenting we're putting our best foot forward as we should, right? Like it's like when you go to a dinner party, are you going to show up in a Hawaiian shirt and flip-flops? No, you want to put on a nice coat and a dress shirt, and you want to show your best you. And it's the exact same thing with social media, right? Dress to impress, and be yourself, but be your best self.
So I love the answer. So know your audience, be yourself, use the right technology, and experiment. Now, a lot of people, when you combine all those things, it does sound a little bit intimidating, especially if you're in the process of testing new technologies or new apps. How do you get over the fear of failure, right? Or looking silly on social media like we just did with our mic malfunction technology. You didn't help. Our live gods didn't really help us on that one. How do you overcome that fear so that you sort of are able to step out of your shell and do it?
Yeah. I never overcome my fear. And I think that's probably what makes me authentic and what makes me real is that I just try my best and I fail and I just learn from that and then I just move on. I'll let somebody else talk before it starts. And then we'll hand it to Bill and then...
I think the most important thing is just to be yourself, and you're always going to have that moment of, oh my God, what am I about to do? And you just take a deep breath and you jump in and do it. I know when we moved on in the last year or so, trying to reach out and do new things and try new things, and it doesn't always go the way you think it's going to. But you always learn from that, and you're always going to get ideas for what to do next time. What can we do better? What can we maybe not do next time? What can we add to the mix? What can we take away that might make it a little bit more effective? Everybody's going to fail, but if you don't learn from it, that's the missed opportunity. If you get what you can get the message from it and take it and use that in moving forward, then it's never a failure.
I think Bill needs to take it now.
I follow Joan Gary, whose thing is thriving nonprofits, and she deals at the board level. And she just has this great saying that if you believe enough in the mission, right, you can overcome your fear. In her case, it's fundraising, but in my case, it's like technology change or helping people get there. Because it's scary. You're launching into something new, because if you're not, you're probably not on social media, right? Because that's why they look to us, because we're the ones that are out there stepping on eggshells or walking through walls, all the things that we have to do to make it work.
Well, and I'll go to Matthew's example, right? You started a Gofundme campaign. Tell me a little bit about that experience, because I'm sure that the thought of, man, what if nobody donates? Right? What if nobody helps me and I look foolish? Tell me about that experience.
So, I blame everybody that's up here for that. And the answer kind of goes back to your prior question too. I embraced being a goofball a long time ago. I am very serious when I need to and very detail oriented when it's necessary. But life is so serious all the time that I just like to have fun. I want to make the journey as great as possible. Andrew, I actually was just turnabout was fair play. I had taken a tweet that Lynda had, I took a message that Lynda had posted to me in a private message saying that, I think going to Canada would be great. And I posted up, and you two jumped onto that real quick and loved it. Were like, yeah, that'd be great. And then it developed from there about joking of, well, we should create a GoFundMe account to do this. So then I'm on a Friday night's accountant and literally Friday Night Lives. Yes.
11:30 at night.
That's Eastern Standard Time. So I'm literally just about to come on, and you're like, so I keep hearing about this GoFundMe thing, but I never see anything about it. Then I pop onto the video. I'm like, don't dare me, dude. Like, so we have a little bit of conversation on it, and I start to set it up right away. It was a hard time for me to actually post it because doing a GoFundMe right then, I lived in Ventura County. And at that exact same time, we had just had some very unfortunate circumstances with some fires and a very tragic shooting. And I almost didn't want to post it, but I actually chose to do so because I felt everybody just needed a smile. And that's kind of what led. I don't know if anybody had seen, how many people saw the video, but I kind of did a little play on some anthems and had some fun just to get people to smile. And it was all about trying to get people together. So my goal out of it was never about the money. It was super. I cannot say thank you enough. This whole experience has been phenomenal. It was a fun way to try to get people to collaborate and to get together. And if I hear of at least one other American that came up because of that, then it was a success. But the most important part is we've got to get other people to come back up again next year, and we need to show the support to our tribe, our pack, as they talk about.
That one might almost deserve a standing ovation. It's so funny that like you talk about it started on a dare. And our speaker on the main stage, Yana, which I'm sure I'm butchering her name, talked about, as an entrepreneur, starting with a dare and escalating those dares. So I think that that's a great way for getting yourself onto social media. Find someone who you trust and whose opinion you value, and tell them, I'm going to do it. Dare me to do this. I'm going to do it. And use that as your ownership to actually go and force yourself to execute. Because like all of us, we're more accountable to a peer or to a friend or to a family member than we are to ourselves. So we might tell ourselves, I'm going to go on social media, I'm going to start a GoFundMe page. But until we tell Andrew live on Facebook that I'm going to do it, we have now created accountability, because if we don't, Andrew's going to bust my chops for the next 20 years about why I didn't go do a GoFundMe page. And that accountability forces us into action sometimes.
So I think Brad, come over here. Come and join us, Brad. Brad Celmainis, everyone, now is joining us. Woo! Okay, so now I want to jump a little bit into strategy. So, as director of marketing for a technology company, I drive a team, and my team works really, really hard at executing the strategy that we sort of sit down around the table and develop. And it's actually quite beautiful, in fact, to see it being executed and seeing the results right away. I love to understand how you approach social from a strategy perspective. What do you do, or what has been your strategy so far? Has it worked? And what are you doing as a next step to evolve that social presence?
As perhaps the least strategic person here, somebody told me about Twitter. I said, oh, what's that? And I created a test account that wasn't my real name just to see what it was about. And then I went to a conference and I heard the back channel behind the conference talking about the conference, and I realized, okay, there's a lot of power here. That's when I switched over, went live, but it's like I jumped in with 2 feet, and that's what I tend to do. And so it's like you said earlier, right? It's about making mistakes. It's about figuring out, what's really going on here? we've all lived through that time when they were talking about gurus, and then we moved from conversation to just shouting our message out there. And I think now it's pulling back to we really want that conversation. And so I think that for me, it's not so much strategy as in just being aware of what's going on around me and reacting to it, and just trying to stay straight. Keep the mission in my heart, right? What I'm trying to do is get the message out to nonprofits. How can I do that best? And then just reacting to what happens.
Beautiful.
So I actually started because I was trolling my daughter on social media.
That's a good excuse.
No, but I mean, honestly, that's how it really started, is on Twitter. As I got a Twitter account, I'm like, oh, let me just see what she's tweeting, just making sure that I'm the good mom. And then I realized the strength and the potential that I had with Twitter, with being able to help grow our community. And really, that is what I use social media for. It's not really for my own business. My own business, I'm doing quite well. It's us growing our tribe and growing our community that I feel is super important, and giving back. Because I've had so many years of experience, and I just want other people to kind of learn from my mistakes and to learn from what I'm doing, and I just love sharing that.
I think one thing that's really important when you're doing that and you're reaching out on your social media is to pay attention to what you want to be projecting. When you're working with a community like we do, and we work together, keeping true to what we want our mission to be. And when people start to question, well, what if you just did this? Then you could add a whole bunch more people. And it's like, but that doesn't fit with what we want to do. That doesn't fit with who we are. And I think by staying true to that, we've actually grown a much stronger community. We could probably have bigger numbers, but I think the value of the people that we have in our group and the contributions that we have and the content that we have is exactly where we want it to be, because we stayed true to the intent of what we wanted to do.
So I'm kind of like Bill. I leap before I look. I kind of go into whatever it is that is intriguing me and that interests me, and I'm horrible about not having a plan. I get flack for that all the time about just randomly going live, like no plan, no schedule, haven't told anyone. Oh, you just walked by me, so we're going live. The best was at Thrive a couple years ago. I had this camera on my shoulder, a GoPro. And I was experimenting with live for the very first time, and I sit down and there's Malika Hope, and we were talking about self-employed, I think it was, and she's like, "Is that thing on?" I'm like, "Oh no, don't worry, it's not working. It was on earlier, but it's not working." And we have this whole in-depth discussion about self-employed and sales tax and what's going on, and it turns out that it was on and streaming the whole time. And Malika, if you know Malika, she's a power lifter, so I was kind of scared shitless. I'm like, I think I have to tell her this, but I'm really afraid to tell her.
Did you have Brad tell her?
No, I had Scott Zandberger tell her. But I mean, that's just me. Like, I just jump in. I wish I did more planning, but what my strategy is to just mature. Just like everything in life, the more I do, the more I learn, and the better I get. So I experiment with new things, I try new things, and as I do it, I see the things that work, and I see the things that don't work, and I learn and grow. So that's my strategy.
I think if I was to talk to an actual marketing company, they would tell me I'm doing it wrong. Pretty certain about that. But the area of difficulty I've had is everybody always wants to be authentic. They want to try to build a brand of themselves. How in social media are you supposed to... I have an accounting company, Parkway Business Solutions, and a software company, VendorSync, and then really I'm the persona. So trying to find the right way to balance the three of them, but be genuine about it. Yep. The process by which I've been trying to do it is for VendorSync. Obviously, my target audience is accountants and bookkeepers, which are my people. It's what I do. So I'm probably going the long way. I'm trying to make friends. I'm trying to actually... They always say you'll buy more from a friend, right? So my goal is to make friends, get the opportunity to show them what this application can do, and earn that right for them that they'll be willing to test it, try it, and go forward. But how do you keep the balance between the three different ones? Can be difficult sometimes. Yep.
Well, first of all, Rod, I'd like to say I've really noticed a difference since you come on board with Method. You know, we've touched base when you first started. I love what you've done with the place. So congratulations on that. Social media. People forget that there's social in the social media. It's not a one-way conversation. So, I was on Twitter years ago, and if you find those earliest tweets, I was just sharing other people's content, sharing a few jokes, other photos, no actual engagement. And almost spammy, and I think everyone kind of does that. It's like you get on the internet, you share jokes with people, and they're like, get me off the mailing list. You just don't know. So, I like Bill was saying earlier, he went off with a fake name. I just used my name. It's unique. So I knew no one else would have it. But when I went into business, I realized, okay, now my brand and my business and my personal life is all sort of intertwined. We have to be careful here. And I was almost cautious about how I approached it. And I started attending an event in Calgary called Social Media Breakfast. It's exactly what it sounds. You go for breakfast and you live tweet the event, and there's speakers. And, we just saw Graham Sherman speaking. That's where I met him, was at a social media breakfast event. I've seen him. He actually hosted one. And I learned about live tweeting, sharing the moment and engagement and talking with other people. So that's when I really started enjoying the Twitter side. Then on Facebook, people were friending me as I started my business. It's like, I don't want people to know my personal stuff. Yeah. And then you realize that all these people that you talked about friends, Matt. That's what it became, is all you guys sitting here with me are my friends first, and I don't think of you in any other way. We just all happen to do similar things. We're in the community. And we had this conversation last night. I was talking with Mike DeLauro about community and tribe. It's that friendship part that actually brings us together, and that's how I've got clients. A lot of my clients are my friends. So it's that social side. People can't forget that part of it. It's not a broadcast media that we have here that we're just, buy my stuff, look at what I think, blah, 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 blah. People actually don't care about that stuff. They're not going to retweet your stuff because you shared some article. They want to know what you think about something. So it's really the engagement side. And that strategy it's taken some time. I've talked to some marketing experts, and they actually like what I've done. They tell me don't mess with it too much, but we have some ideas on how you can build upon it. So that's ultimately the strategy I'd like to work on eventually. But, everything costs money, and social media is probably the cheapest way to get your name out there, right? I haven't sent a bill to Twitter for a while.
So I think to summarize, so know your audience, leverage the platform where your audience is hanging out, right? Not some random platform. Be yourself, be authentic, test things, don't be afraid to fail, and don't have a strategy.
Fun.
And have a ton of fun, which I think, goes by saying, I think it's absolutely true. Friends, it was a pleasure having you. It was a lot of fun, despite all of the little failures out there. That's all part of the game. And I hope to do this, once again at some other time. Stay tuned, because next year we're going to have a ton of content. I mean, it's already December, so should we say Happy New Year already? Yeah. But yeah, right. But we're going to have a ton more, and we're looking forward to scaling new heights in June. And we will see you all later on. So say hi, say bye, everyone. Take care. Ciao.